Yeah. Here today, taking out Clash of the Battle Goats. 2 Gruff starter decks. Game's called Gruff. I think it used to be called like Billy Goats or something. But got this about 10 months ago. Gen Con. Let's finally crack it open. Alright, Gruff is a tactical combat card game where you crush enemies by using a specially crafted deck of mutated monster goats. Components: 6 Gruffs, that's the ghosts that you battle with, 6 Shepherds, something like your avatar, 4 legendary Gruffs, 90 ability cards, 24 stat sliders, 2 reference cards, and 1 rulebook. 2016. 30 minutes, 11 plus 2 players. And from the video that I got coming up, they also support solo in some of these expansions, but not on this one though. And peep the nice play mat. Cool mouth opening box. Got a little space in here. Rule book. Always love a actual rule book. Got the sliders. Always laughed at that word sliders in the context of hamburgers. Little hamburgers. We're gonna eat some sliders. Set up their little hamburgers. Sliders. Whatever. Big stack of cards. Alright. And the teeth. Yeah, these are always the hardest to get into. Alright, there we go. Pustule. Sounds gross. Alright, in the rule book. Alright, once upon a time, the 3 Billy Goats Gruff defeated a horrible troll, leading to a weaponized goat arm race. Now unstoppable mutant goats collide with the movable monster goats in a battle that will shake the foundations of the universe. Fantastical. Alright. Gruff, the Clash of the Battle Goats, is a tactical combat card game where you crush your opponents by using a specially crafted deck of mutated monster goats called Gruffs. Players take on the role of the Shepherd of Woe. Each Shepherd will control a variety of mean, weird, and fat Gruffs that create their perfect herd. Mutate your goats, thwart attacks, and unleash a crazy onslaught to break through the enemy's defenses. Kill all your opponent's Gruffs or defeat the opposing Shepherd to be victorious. And story so far. Once upon a time, the 3 Billy Goats Gruff killed a monstrous troll who guarded the Betwixt. A goat arms race ensued. Using black magic, foul science, and forbidden breeding practices, the Shepherds of Woe created the ultimate weaponized goats called Gruffs. The Grendel Shepherd North now leads her herd across the Betwixt, plundering and pillaging. Only Vim, champion of the crossroads with his contraption Gruffs, stand between her and the conquest of untold worlds. Alright, Shepherd anatomy. Your Shepherd has a life stat indicating the amount of damage it can take before you lose the game. Okay, these are actually the Gruffs. The Shepherds must be at the back. I don't know. Yeah, Shepherds are the big cards, so Gruff, Shepherd. Alright. They got a life stat. The amount of damage your shepherd can take can be dealt before they lose the game. A white line between two values on their life bar is your shepherd's threshold. Sometimes shepherds have special abilities that reference thresholds. Interesting. Vim doesn't have it, but Arc does. Okay, Unmasked Glory. The first time Arc's life crosses her threshold, enemy Gruffs lose 1 fat, then take 1 damage. Enemy Gruffs, okay. No threshold, okay. Killer Kedden style. As long as Chew's life is below his threshold, your Gruffs get 1 defense. Alright, looks like about half of them had it. And Potent Rum, at the end of each of your turns, if his life is above his threshold, Stovell takes 1 damage and gains 2 crazy. Crazy is the energy. Because I'm just trying my best not to say the M word. Alright, crazy. The Shepherd's Crazy stat represents the total cumulative cost of cards that can be played that turn. Nice. So that turn. AKA your M word. If Shepherd has 5 crazy, she can play both Dissect and Meh on her turn. The Shepherd's Crazy stat never decreases when you play a card. When a Gruff is activated, Shepherd's gain crazy equal to the weird stat on that Gruff. Okay, when a Gruff is activated, Shepherd's gain crazy equal to the weird stat of that Gruff. Okay, let's look at the Gruffs. Okay, 0 weird. 1 weird. Okay, this is a Shepherd. Why's a Shepherd over there? 2 weird. So by activating the Gruffs, you get weird, which is the energy. Okay, the maximum crazy a Shepherd can have is 30. Okay, so you'll get 20 plus going to max 30 on the Shepherds. Alright. Breaking point, the limit to the number of ultimate cards that you may add to your deck. Upper right corner of the Shepherd card. Breaking point. Okay. So ultimate cards 7, 5, 3, 4, 4, 3. Right. Interesting stuff. Gruff anatomy. Each Gruff has 3 characteristics: mean, weird, and fat, represented by numeric stats controlled with a slider. Special abilities. Each Gruff has a triggered ability explained on their card. If that ability triggers on activation, then it's applied before any other effects of activation. So, mean, so that's the attack they do. Fat is how much life they have. +1 mean and +1 fat when activated. Contraption. Maybe that's the type. Yeah, Deep Thing, Grendel, Contraption, Funkified, should have been Funkified, and Skull Clan. And Deep Thing, Grendel, Contraption, Funkified. Book's longer than it appears. Okay, mean, the offensive capacity of the Gruff. Yeah, this attack, fat, defense. Weird. Gruffs are so twisted and strange that being near them eats your Shepherd's sanity. The weird stat value is added to your Shepherd's crazy after the Gruff is activated. If a Gruff's special ability is to gain weird when activated, the weird is gained by the Gruff before it's added to the Shepherd's crazy. Go ahead and highlight that. If a Gruff's special ability is to gain weird, gained by the Gruff before it's added to the Shepherd's crazy. Alright, examples, don't need to read those. Ability, card anatomy. Okay, so there's ability cards. Okay, right in here. Yep, and that's just the Shepherds and the Gruffs for the oversized cards. And then ability card anatomy. Player reference cards. And ability cards. Alright, so it's a Signal Gem. Costs the crazy required to play a card. You may play any number of cards from your hand during your play cards phase, but the total cost of all cards must be equal to or less than your Shepherd's Crazy. Your crazy stat does not decrease when you play a card. Let's just go ahead and write that down. Highlight that. Shepherd's Crazy. Crazy does not decrease when you play a card. Ultimate. Some powerful cards, ultimates, have a cost framed by horns. You can only add as many of those as the breaking point. Starting Star. Let's go breaking point. Horns. Framed by horns. Starting Star. This indicates the card is one of the 8 recommended for your first time playing Gruff. An ability card. Types. Action. Action cards are used once, then immediately discarded. They can only be played during the play cards phase. Condition. A condition has effects that last until the start of the cleanup phase. Of the controller's next turn. Yeah, this book isn't the best for highlighting, at least with this blue highlighter. Mutation. Mutation cards are permanent until they are destroyed by another ability. If a mutation is attached to a Gruff and the Gruff is killed, the mutation is disabled until the Gruff is resurrected. Okay. Disabled until it's resurrected. Permanent until destroyed. Alright, and ability card text. Each ability card text that will alter the state of the game in some way. Card text always takes precedence over the rules listed in the book. Yeah, 5 cost first game, looks like. No, not first game. Condition. A condition effect lasts until the start of the cleanup phase of the controller's next turn. Alright, yeah. And let's see. Condition. When this card is in play, other conditions can't be played. Alright, ability card text, damage and defense. Okay, we can surmise that. Maximum hand size at the end of your turn. If you have more than 7 cards in your hand, discard down to 7. Seven cards in hand. Dissecting damage. Damage accumulates throughout each turn and is completely removed from every Gruff at the end of each turn. Completely removed end of each turn. Card effects that deal damage can kill a Gruff after an attack has resolved but before the end of the turn. Game setup. Each player chooses a Shepherd, 3 Gruffs, and 8 ability cards from each Gruff. Each Gruff has 15 ability cards with matching art. Any Gruff. Okay, 8 ability cards from each Gruff. Ugh, knew that was gonna happen. Shuffle. Any Shepherd can include any Gruff on their team. Only add ultimates up to the breaking point of your chosen Shepherd. Shuffle those 24 ability cards together to form your deck. Both players place sliders on the circled starting stats of their Gruffs and Shepherd. Player 1 is randomly chosen, then arranges their Gruffs in order, creating a line in front of their Shepherd as shown on the picture, and then afterwards player 2 arranges their Gruffs in any order. Alright, so player 1 arrange first. Afterwards player 2 arranges. Each player begins the game with drawing 5 cards. Okay, turn order, cleanup phase. Ignore this step on the first turn. If your Gruff was given an attack action last turn, resolve your attack now. Your attacking Gruff deals damage to the Gruff that is in the position directly opposite from the attacker. If your Gruff was given an attack action last turn, resolve your attack now. I'm assuming you'll tap it to show that it's attacking. and remove all your conditions from play. Okay, so clean up, resolve your attack, remove your conditions, refresh your living Gruffs if all Gruffs are exhausted or dead. If all your Gruffs are either exhausted or dead, refresh your entire team. Your dead Gruffs remain face down until resurrected. Dead Gruffs remain face down. Draw phase, draw a card from your deck. If this is the starting player's first turn, skip this step. First turn. If a player runs out of cards in their deck, they ignore effects that will cause them to draw cards and continue playing until normal, until the game is over. Activation phase, select one of your Gruffs to act this turn, and then activate it by turning it sideways, vertical. That Gruff is exhausted and is unable to be activated again until all the other Gruffs on your team are exhausted or dead. Okay, that's different. That Gruff is exhausted and is unable to be activated until all other Gruffs on your team are exhausted or dead. No actions are taken in this phase, but the activated Gruff's Weird is acted to your Shepherd's Crazy stat. Play cards phase. Play any number of ability cards as long as their combined total is less than the Crazy stat or more, or the same. Tactical action phase. At the end of your turn, choose to attack, shift, grow, or resurrect with the Gruff you chose to activate in the activation phase. At the end of your turn, so end of turn, attack, shift, grow, or resurrect. Attack, shift, grow, or resurrect. Attack, shift, grow, resurrect. And you can only select one, so only one. Select one Gruff. Alright, tactical actions. Attack. You initiate an attack by pushing your active Gruff forward at the beginning of your next turn. Deal damage equal to your mean stat. If your damage meets or exceeds the defense of the opposing Gruff, kill that Gruff. Flip its character card over. Excess damage is dealt to the enemy Shepherd. Initiating an attack by pushing active Gruff forward. And then excess damage dealt to the enemy Shepherd, causing its life stat to decrease, and abilities to trigger on attack trigger when the attack is first initiated, not when the attack resolves. Shift. The active Gruff swaps places with an allied Gruff that is adjacent to it. The active Gruff may always swap positions with dead Gruffs, even if the swap action was triggered from an ability card. Swap spaces with adjacent. With dead Gruff. Yeah. Grow, increase any one stat of your active Gruff by 1 point. And resurrect. The active Gruff uses its action to revive any one dead Gruff by returning its card to the face-up position. It returns to play in the unexhausted state with the same stats and mutations that it had when it died. Okay. Same stats and mutations it had when it died. Active Gruff uses its action. Revive one dead Gruff. Interesting. Alright, then we got combat. Declaring your attack. Attacks are initiated as a tactical action taken at the end of your turn, but they are not resolved until the cleanup phase of your next turn. If you chose attack as your tactical action, push the active Gruff forward to indicate it's attacking. One thing I like too is how they keep reiterating this stuff over and over again. Even if they said it before, they just say it again, making sure that when you reference it, you're reading it right there too. Your opponent now takes their turn as your Gruff closes to attack. If your Gruff survives your opponent's turn, then resolve the attack in the cleanup phase. Resolve in the cleanup phase. Okay, got some examples. Death. When a Gruff takes damage equal to or greater than its defense, they die. But they say defense, but that's really like fat. But yeah, but defense. They die. Turn the dead Gruff's card face down. All mutations attached to it stay on it. All stat sliders stay in the same position. No cards with special abilities can affect the dead Gruff, except for those which specifically resurrect Gruffs. The dead Gruff can't trigger its own special abilities, conditions, or mutations. Alright. No cards with special abilities can separate dead Gruff except resurrect. Mutations and conditions on dead Gruffs may be affected by other cards normally. Okay. Mutations and conditions may be affected normally. When a dead Gruff is resurrected, it returns to play with the same stat. Yeah, keep going over it. Or the shift tactical action. A living Gruff may. Yeah, they keep saying it. That's real. Alright, winning the game. The game is over immediately when either of the following conditions is met. A Shepherd's life stat drops to 0. The Shepherd dies and the player or players controlling the Shepherds immediately lose the game. Shepherds at 0 life, their herds and their ability cards are no longer part of the game and can't trigger or resolve triggers that are already in progress. If all 3 of the Shepherd's Gruffs are dead during the activation phase, the player can't make an activation and therefore loses the game. Factions: Grendel, brutal marauders descended from the original Billy Goat's Gruff. Contraptions: cyber mechanically goatee horrors from the city of the Crossroads. Skull Clan, a coalition of foul necromancers harnessing necrotic Gruffs to deadly effects. Funk Fiend, vectors of disease and filth seeking only to spread outward. Deep Thing, natives to the Betwixt, creatures of dark secrets and whispered madness. Glossary: active Gruff, the Gruff activated in the activation phase. All Gruffs, any card that uses the phrase all Gruffs affects all players in the game. Ally Gruff on your team. Damage, base, mean, stat plus bonuses. Exhausted after taking an activation. Fully blocked. Legendary Gruffs are alternative character cards for previously printed Gruffs. They don't bring their own ability cards, but they use the ability of cards from Gruffs with the same name and other additions from the Gruff tactical card game. Machinations: cards with the machination keyword can be influenced by certain contraption ability cards which reference that term. Position: a Gruff's position is either left, right, or center. There are 6 positions in a 2-player game, 3 positions for each Shepherd. Alright, man, this what's up. Yeah, and then 23 minutes. Yeah, we got time to flip through the cards. Alright, we got. Should we flip through the cards or just call it at that? Yeah, you know what? Screw it. We'll flip through the cards later. Alright, Foil Games, like, comment, subscribe. Be on the lookout for more Gruff content. Clash of the Battle Goats. Yeah, Clash of the Battle Goats content. Peace.